Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that the very message you're hearing now is not random, that it's not a coincidence, that this, right now, is the echo of your own desire being returned to you, not as a whisper, but as a cosmic confirmation. You asked, you imagined, you desired, and now the universe speaks. It says, yes, not someday, not maybe, but yes, now. You see, your imagination is not a dream machine. It is the first stage of creation itself. Everything that exists in your world began as an invisible idea, held in someone's mind. And so it is with your own desires. They are not fleeting wishes, they are divine blueprints, seeded into you because you already possess the means to realize them. When you imagined that life, that moment, that freedom, that love, you began a chain reaction. But here's the truth. It only manifests when you accept it as done. You must live from the end, not toward it. Feel it real. Experience the emotions of the wish fulfilled. Walk, talk, breathe, and move as though what you seek is already yours, because it is. Your world is not outside of you. It is yourself expressed through the language of circumstances. And if you remain faithful to your assumption, life has no choice but to mirror it. This message is your sign. You have drawn it into your experience through your consciousness. It is not telling you how it will happen, because that is not your concern. Your rule is simple but profound. Assume it, feel it, live it. The bridge of incidents, the chain of so-called coincidence, will arise to carry you there, but only if you hold to the feeling, only if you act as if your desire has already been confirmed. So let your heart respond to this message with certainty, not hope. Let your inner world declare, it is done. And then walk as though every step is leading you through the manifestation already unfolding. Because it is. You asked. The answer came. This message is proof. Now act as if the universe arranged it just for you. Because it did. Imagination is the first reality. It is not a passive faculty or a mere escape from the so-called real world. It is the womb of creation itself. Before anything appears in the physical world, it exists first in the unseen world of imagination. What you see, touch, and call real is the outpicturing of what has already been accepted in consciousness. Everything that has form was once formless, alive only in thought, in vision, in feeling. Imagination is not bound by time or space. It is infinite, immediate, and obedient. It doesn't question your input. It simply forms according to the impression you make upon it. You are not imagining about things. You are imagining into them, shaping their very substance. The house you live in, the job you hold, the relationships you experience, they all began as imaginal acts, whether done consciously or unconsciously. Nothing enters your world uninvited. What you sustain in imagination, you invite into experience. What you reject there cannot hold form around you. The senses deceive, but imagination knows. It perceives truth before facts can catch up. It is not waiting for confirmation. It is the confirmation. When you imagine something vividly, feelingly, with conviction, you are not just dreaming. You are selecting. You are choosing the version of reality you are willing to inhabit. And reality, obediently, begins to mold itself around that choice. Your desire is a divine gift. It is not random, nor is it born of lack or desperation. It arises from the deeper unseen part of you that already knows what is possible. The moment a desire stirs within you, it signals the presence of something that already exists in the unseen, waiting to be claimed. Desire is the evidence of a deeper truth. It does not come to mock you or remind you of what you do not have. It comes as a signal, a whisper from the higher self, revealing what you are ready to embody. It is the language of the divine within, the way the infinite communicates with the finite self. You do not generate desire through effort. You become aware of it. It emerges from the silence, from the stillness where your true self resides. And once it appears, It carries with it the seed of its own fulfillment. There is no desire without the capacity to realize it. If you can long for it, you can live it. The world may ask for logic, for evidence, for reason, but desire asks only for acceptance. It is sacred. It does not need to be justified or explained. It is not a result of envy or comparison when it comes from the soul. It is a recognition of alignment. Something in you is remembering who you really are and what you are capable of experiencing. You are not meant to suppress your desires or dilute them to fit into the expectations of others. You are meant to honor them, to dwell in them, to explore their texture and feel. They are the divine's invitation to expansion, a call to step into the version of yourself where that desire is already true. Assumption is creative power. It is the silent force that shapes your world, not by force or effort, but by conviction. To assume is not to wish or to beg. It is to know, even in the absence of physical proof. It is the act of claiming something internally with such certainty that it begins to take shape externally. Every assumption, whether conscious or unconscious, impresses itself upon the fabric of reality. It does not wait for permission or conditions. It simply begins to express. The world around you bends to the assumptions you hold most consistently, not the ones you casually entertain, but the ones you live from. These are the assumptions that speak in your tone, walk in your steps, and hide behind every decision you make. They are not opinions, they are laws operating through you. Assumption bypasses logic because it operates on a higher principle. It deals not with what is probable, but with what is claimed. When you assume something to be true, you step into alignment with that version of life. You enter into its atmosphere. You become its vessel. And life, faithful to the seed you plant, brings it into form through 1,000 unseen movements. It does not matter whether the assumption is big or small, outrageous or ordinary. The mechanism remains the same. Your reality is not reacting to what is true. It is responding to what you have accepted as true. What you assume becomes your identity, and identity is what experience conforms to. The moment you stop waiting for things to change and begin assuming they already have, the entire structure of your world starts to rearrange itself to match that inner decision. The feeling is the secret. It is not the words you speak nor the thoughts you repeat, but the feeling that saturates those thoughts which determines what manifests. Feeling is the creative essence behind every assumption, every mental image, every imagined scene. When you feel something deeply, sincerely, and persistently, you are impressing that state upon your subconscious, and the subconscious does not argue, it accepts and expresses. Feeling is the language of the unseen. It speaks louder than logic, clearer than reason, and more effectively than action taken in doubt. It bypasses analysis and reaches directly into the core of creation. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you feel to be true. Even if words deny it, even if appearances oppose it, the dominant feeling wins. The feeling of wealth draws wealth, the feeling of health draws vitality, the feeling of love brings intimacy. Not as compensation for what is lacking, but as reflection of what has already been accepted within. It is not about emotional intensity or dramatic outbursts. It is the quiet inner knowing that settles into the body and mind like a new atmosphere. It is a state you carry, not something you visit occasionally. To feel something real is to live from it, not toward it. There is no outer ritual that can substitute for the inner feeling. You can repeat affirmations, visualize scenes, or study all the teachings, but without feeling, they remain shadows without substance. The feeling gives weight to the image, gives life to the assumption, gives direction to the imagination. It is the essence that activates the invisible mold of reality and calls into form all that matches its vibration. To life from the end. Do not wait for the evidence of change before you allow yourself to feel it. Be the evidence. To live from the end is to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. To carry yourself as though what you desire is already true. It is not about pretending or faking. It is about assuming the identity of the version of yourself who already has, already is, already knows. This is not forward-looking. It is present living. It is the refusal to let appearances dictate your inner world, because the inner world is the cause and the outer must follow. When you live from the end, you no longer ask when it will happen, you know it has. You are no longer trying to become, you are being. Everything changes from this place. Your posture, your choices, your tone of voice, your expectations. The end becomes your starting point. You do not visualize just to enjoy a dream. You do it to relocate your awareness to the place where it is already real. You speak from the outcome. You walk as one who has received. You treat the desire not as a goal to chase, but as a memory you are remembering. To live from the end is to saturate yourself in the conviction that nothing is missing. You consult not the facts, but the feeling of fulfillment. You stop negotiating with doubt because the matter is settled in your inner world. Circumstances may try to contradict you, but they're not the authority, you are. And the longer you persist in this state, the more effortlessly the outer begins to mirror the inner, bending itself to match the story you have chosen to inhabit. The universe is yourself pushed out. Every person you meet, every situation you encounter, every condition that surrounds you is a reflection of your inner state, your beliefs, assumptions, and dominant feelings expressed outwardly in form. Life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. What seems to be external is intimately connected to what you hold within. There is no separation between inner and outer, only different layers of the same consciousness unfolding itself. The world is your mirror, faithfully revealing the contents of your imagination. When you understand this, blame dissolves. There is no one to fault, no power outside of yourself to battle against. The universe is not judging, punishing, or rewarding. It is responding. It responds not to your words, not to your desperate wishes, but to your state of being. It listens to what you assume to be true and reflects that assumption with precision, whether it brings joy or pain. Every repeated pattern, every persistent circumstance is pointing you back to a deeper realization about what you have accepted within. To change the outer, you do not need to manipulate people or force situations. You need only to shift your inner stance. The moment you revise your concept of self, the world begins to echo that change. New people appear, opportunities unfold, and obstacles dissolve. Not because the universe has finally decided to help you, but because it is you all along. When you elevate your self-perception, the universe elevates your reflection. When you hold yourself in the feeling of being loved, secure, successful, the world has no choice but to outpicture that inner truth. This is not philosophy, it is law. The world follows you. It takes its shape from you. Your relationships, your health, your prosperity are not foreign forces. They are extensions of your consciousness. Change the root, and the branches must follow. This message is no coincidence. It did not arrive by chance, nor did you stumble upon it accidentally. It is part of the unfolding of your own consciousness, summoned by your inner state, drawn to you by the very desire that lives within. It appears now in this exact form because you are ready to hear it. The timing is not random, it is precise. When you asked, the answer began its journey toward you, not through dramatic signs or distant prophecies, but through simple, exact moments like this. The message shows up because the seed you planted in thought has started to bloom, and this moment is one of its petals opening. You may think it is just a speech, just words, just another idea, but beneath the surface it is recognition. Something in you called for confirmation, and now something in you recognizes it. It speaks not just to your mind, but to your deeper self, the part of you that already knows this is truth. This message aligns with your inner shift, reflects your assumption, and matches your new frequency. It is not teaching you something foreign. It is reminding you of what you already knew before the doubt, before the fear, before the waiting. It arrives to dissolve the final hesitation, to quiet the lingering question of whether your manifestation is near. It arrives not to tell you it will happen, but to reflect that it already is. You are not hearing these words because you're lost. You're hearing them because you're aligned. You have reached a point in your unfolding where the inner and the outer begin to match, where the invisible becomes visible. The message is part of the manifestation. It is not separate from it. It is evidence of it. Your reality is responding, and this is how it speaks. Confirmation always comes. It is inevitable, not because the world is generous, but because the universe is law, and that law responds with precision to the state you occupy. When you dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the world begins to echo back to you in symbols, signs, encounters, and moments that reflect that inner conviction. The confirmation is not separate from the creation. It is part of it. It may arrive in subtle ways, a passing phrase, a repeated image, a sudden clarity, or an undeniable synchronicity that feels too aligned to ignore. These are not accidents, they are reflections of your inner shift. Once you assume something as true and sustain it, the outer world must begin to shape itself accordingly. Confirmation is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the unfolding of evidence that your internal claim has taken root. Sometimes it comes quickly, like a rush of clarity, a conversation overheard that perfectly mirrors your thoughts, or an opportunity that appears without force. The other times it arrives gradually, quietly building, until the external conditions are fully aligned. But it always comes. It is not something you must force or demand. It is not a sign you beg for from desperation. It is a natural consequence, a ripple from the stone dropped in the waters of your imagination. The moment you truly accept your desire as already real, life begins to confirm that acceptance. Even before the full manifestation appears, signs of alignment begin to surface. These moments of confirmation are glimpses of the end breaking through time, reminders that the reality you chose in consciousness is now making its way into form. They do not create belief, they reflect it. You are the operant power. There is no force outside of you that can shape your life unless you allow it. The power to create, to change, to manifest lies within your own consciousness, not in external circumstances or people. You are not a passive observer of events. You are the active cause behind them. Every experience you have is the direct result of the mental states you entertain and the assumptions you hold. The universe responds to you, not the other way around. This means that the feeling of power is not something you seek from outside sources. It is inherent in your very being, waiting to be recognized and embraced. When you accept responsibility for your reality, you awaken this power. You stop blaming conditions or others and instead turn inward, knowing that your imagination and belief are the true architects of your life. The power to shift your circumstances begins the moment you choose a new state of consciousness and hold to it with faith. No matter how things appear, you have the authority to direct your inner world, and through it the outer world changes. This power is not limited by past experiences, failures, or doubts. It transcends them because it exists beyond time and space, in the realm where cause is born before effect. When you act as the operant power, you are no longer swayed by appearances or waiting for permission. You move with the certainty that what you assume within must become your experience without. You are the creative force, the origin, the source from which all manifestation flows. The present moment is the door. It is the only point of entry into the reality you desire, the gateway through which all creation passes. The past has no power here, and the future is yet to be shaped. Only now, this very instant, holds the power to transform your world. It is in the present moment that your assumptions take root, where your imagination breathes life into form. To dwell in the past is to remain chained to what has been. To fixate on the future is to defer your power indefinitely. But when you focus your awareness fully on now, you open the space where change can occur. In this moment, you can choose to release old beliefs, old fears, and old identities that no longer serve you. You can step beyond limitation by shifting your inner conversation to the state you wish to experience. The present is not merely a point in time, it is a state of consciousness, a living doorway into new possibilities. It is where you place your attention, your feeling, your knowing. The power of now is not found in doing more or seeking outside validation. It is found in being fully present with the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. Every decision, every thought, every feeling you hold in this moment sets the tone for what follows. The present moment is fluid, ready to reflect whatever you impress upon it. It is the fertile soil where the seeds of your imagination grow. To open this door is to step into the creative process consciously, to become the master of your inner world and, through it, the master of your outer experience. The bridge of incidents will form. When you hold steadfast in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, life begins to rearrange itself in ways that support your new reality. This bridge is not something you construct with effort or control. It is the natural unfolding that occurs when your inner world aligns with your desire. Events, encounters, and circumstances that once seemed unrelated suddenly start to connect, guiding you toward the fulfillment you have assumed. The bridge appears as a series of coincidences, synchronicities, and opportunities that feel almost too perfect to be accidental. These incidents serve as proof to your outer senses that what you have imagined is becoming real. They act like signposts, reassuring you that the unseen is moving toward visibility. The bridge forms gradually and subtly, often in ways you least expect, quietly shifting the landscape of your experience. Sometimes it feels like doors opening effortlessly. Other times it feels like gentle nudges pushing you in the right direction. The key is not to chase or force these events, but to remain faithful to the feeling that the end is already present. As the bridge takes shape, your faith strengthens and doubt diminishes. You begin to see that your world is not fixed, but fluid, responding dynamically to your inner assumption. Each incident is a link in the chain that connects your imagination with reality, a demonstration of the invisible process at work. This bridge is proof that your consciousness is the architect of your experience, building the path step by step until your desire is fully realized. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. It is the unwavering commitment to what you cannot yet see with your physical eyes, but know with absolute certainty in your heart and mind. Faith does not depend on external evidence or logical proof. It rests firmly on the trust that what you imagine and feel as real is already present in the invisible realm. It is a silent allegiance to the assumption that your desire is fulfilled, regardless of any conflicting appearances or temporary doubts. This loyalty to the unseen requires courage and steadfastness. It means holding fast to the feeling of the wish fulfilled even when circumstances suggest otherwise. It is choosing to place your attention and belief in the reality of your imagination rather than the reality of the senses. Faith is not blind hope or wishful thinking. It is an active state of consciousness that directs your entire being toward the end you desire. It is a constant inner alignment that refuses to be shaken by outer conditions. When you practice this kind of faith, you become an anchor in the shifting tides of life. You maintain your course without hesitation or wavering, knowing that the unseen foundation you stand upon is more real than any fleeting experience. This loyalty transforms your entire perception, allowing you to live from a place of certainty and peace. It is faith that holds the creative power steady until the manifestation appears, proving that the unseen was always the truest reality. Persistence reshapes reality. It is the steady, unwavering continuation of the inner state you have chosen, despite any outer appearances that suggest otherwise. Persistence is not stubbornness, born of frustration or desperation, but a calm, confident endurance that holds fast to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is the silent insistence that your imagination is the true reality, and that the external world must conform to this inner truth. Every moment you persist in this state, you deepen the impression on your subconscious mind, strengthening the cause that will inevitably bring forth the effect. The process of persistence is like the gradual sculpting of a masterpiece. Each moment of faith and assumption chips away at old doubts, old fears, and old identities that no longer serve your vision. Persistence outlasts distraction, contradiction, and delay. It is the refusal to yield to the sway of changing circumstances or the opinions of others. Instead, it anchors you firmly in the reality you are determined to live. Through persistence, you train your mind and body to inhabit the new state so thoroughly that it becomes your dominant experience, your natural condition. This ongoing commitment to your inner assumption causes the outer world to shift, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, but always inevitably. Persistence is the force that breaks down resistance and dissolves limiting patterns. It weaves the threads of imagination into the fabric of your daily life until what was once only imagined becomes undeniable fact. In this way, persistence is the silent architect of transformation, the steady current beneath the waves of change that reshapes your reality from the inside out. Gratitude before evidence is the secret key that unlocks the flow of manifestation. It is the practice of feeling thankful not for what is visible or proven, but for what you already know to be true in your imagination and heart. Gratitude is the acknowledgement of the fulfillment you have assumed, expressed as if it were already yours. It creates a powerful vibration that aligns your consciousness with the reality you desire, drawing it closer into form. When you give thanks in advance, you signal to the universe that you accept the manifestation as complete and inevitable. This form of gratitude is not dependent on circumstances or conditions. It transcends the need for proof. It is an act of faith expressed through feeling, a deliberate choice to celebrate the invisible and the yet to appear. In doing so, you release resistance and doubt, replacing them with joy and confidence. Gratitude before evidence transforms your inner state from one of lack to one of abundance, shifting your focus away from what is missing to what is already fulfilled in the unseen. By cultivating this grateful awareness, you open the door for the outer world to reflect back to you the very things you appreciate. The energy of gratitude is magnetic. It attracts experiences and opportunities that match its frequency. It also deepens your connection to the source of creation, reminding you that all things flow from an infinite well of goodness. In this way, gratitude before evidence is not merely a feeling, but a powerful creative act that accelerates the arrival of your desires and solidifies their place in your life. Act as if until it is so. This simple phrase holds immense creative power. It means living and behaving from the place of your fulfilled desire, adopting the attitudes, feelings, and actions of the person who already enjoys what you seek. To act as if is not to pretend or deceive, but to align your inner world with the reality you wish to experience. It is a conscious choice to embody the end result, to step fully into the identity of the fulfilled self, even when external circumstances have yet to reflect it. When you act as if, you send a clear signal to your subconscious mind and to the universe that you have accepted your desire as true. Your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors begin to harmonize with that state, creating a powerful current of energy that draws your manifestation closer. This alignment bridges the gap between imagination and reality, dissolving the resistance that often arises from doubt or impatience. Acting as if breaks the cycle of waiting and wishing, replacing it with confident presence and purposeful living. Imagination shapes identity because the images and scenes you consistently entertain in your mind form the foundation of who you believe yourself to be. Your sense of self is not fixed or predetermined by circumstances. It is fluid and malleable, created by the stories you tell yourself and the roles you assume within your inner world. When you imagine yourself as confident, successful, loved, or free, you begin to embody those qualities naturally. The mind does not distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically experienced. It accepts the repeated inner picture as reality. This process works silently beneath your awareness, influencing your habits, choices, and feelings. The identity you hold in your imagination becomes a blueprint for your actions and reactions, shaping how you move through life. If you imagine yourself limited or unworthy, your external reality will reflect those beliefs. But if you choose to imagine a higher version of yourself, one aligned with your deepest desires, your outer experience will gradually conform to that identity. Imagination is the workshop where the self is crafted, and it is through this creative faculty that transformation becomes possible. Every change in identity begins with a shift in imagination. By consciously directing your mental images and assumptions, you rewrite the script of who you are. This is why persistent visualization and feeling are so powerful. They impress a new identity onto your subconscious mind, which then acts to express that identity in the physical world. The person you become is the person you first imagine yourself to be. Through imagination, you hold the pen that writes the story of your life. Detachment from the how is the art of releasing control over the specific ways your desires will come to pass. It is trusting that the universe or the creative intelligence within you knows the perfect path to bring your assumptions into reality. When you cling tightly to a particular method or outcome, you limit the infinite possibilities that could serve your desire better than you can imagine. Detachment does not mean giving up or becoming passive. Rather, it means focusing your energy on the end result while allowing the means to unfold naturally. This surrender to the unknown creates space for creativity and unexpected opportunities to emerge. Often, the how is a source of worry, frustration, and impatience because it appears uncertain or beyond your control. But when you detach from the need to engineer every detail, you align with a higher intelligence that orchestrates your manifestation with perfect timing and precision. The moment you let go of the need to know the specifics, you free yourself from resistance and open the door to effortless creation. Detachment from the how also shifts your focus inward, encouraging you to cultivate the feeling of fulfillment rather than chase after external evidence. You no longer measure your progress by visible signs or tangible results, but by the faith and certainty you hold within. This inner alignment is what ultimately shapes your outer reality. Trusting the process means trusting yourself as the creative source and knowing that the universe reflects your belief without fail. By releasing attachment to the how, you become a co-creator who collaborates with the unseen forces that bring your desires into form in ways beyond your imagination. Inner dialogue creates outer reality because the conversations you hold within your mind set the tone for your entire experience. The words you say to yourself, the thoughts you repeat, and the beliefs you nurture become the script that guides your feelings, actions, and perceptions. Your inner dialogue acts like a command center, sending messages to your subconscious mind about what to expect and how to respond. When this dialogue is positive, hopeful, and aligned with your desires, it prepares you to receive and recognize opportunities that match those expectations. Conversely, negative or limiting inner conversations reinforce doubts, fears, and resistance, shaping your reality in ways that confirm those beliefs. Because your subconscious does not discriminate between constructive or destructive messages, it accepts whatever you feed it as truth and works to bring those ideas into form. This means that changing your external circumstances begins with changing your inner narrative. By consciously directing your inner dialogue toward affirmations of success, love, abundance, and fulfillment, you begin to reprogram your subconscious mind. This reprogramming influences not only how you feel, but also how you act and what you attract. Your inner conversations create a lens through which you interpret every experience, coloring the meaning and impact of what happens around you. When you cultivate a supportive and empowering inner dialogue, you align your thoughts and feelings with the reality you wish to manifest. This harmony between your inner speech and your desires becomes the fertile ground where your outer world grows and transforms. In essence, the story you tell yourself inside is the blueprint for the life you build outside. Your subconscious mind is the builder, the silent architect behind every aspect of your experience. It does not analyze, judge, or question. It simply accepts what you impress upon it through your feelings, beliefs, and repeated thoughts. This part of your consciousness works tirelessly, shaping your reality by translating your inner assumptions into physical form. Whatever dominates your subconscious mind, whether doubt or certainty, fear or faith, becomes the foundation upon which your outer world is constructed. Because the subconscious cannot differentiate between what is imagined vividly and what is physically real, it treats your mental images and emotional states as commands to create. This is why the feelings you harbor and the beliefs you hold are so crucial. They plant seeds that grow into the circumstances you live. The subconscious acts without hesitation, bringing into existence what it perceives as your truth. It does not care about limitations or obstacles. It simply manifests the reality that matches your inner programming. To influence this powerful builder, you must become conscious of the impressions you feed it. Persistent repetition of positive assumptions, accompanied by strong feeling, rewires your subconscious to accept a new identity and a new reality. This transformation occurs beneath your everyday awareness, yet it directly affects your actions, habits, and environment. The subconscious mind is both your greatest ally and your greatest challenge, because it shapes your life according to the script you give it. When you learn to impress it with the image of your fulfilled desire, you harness its creative force to build the life you truly want. The present state is the seed of the future because the condition of your consciousness in this very moment plants the foundation for all that is yet to come. Whatever you feel, believe, and imagine now sets the trajectory of your life, shaping the experiences that will unfold over time. Your current state acts like fertile soil into which the seeds of your desires are sown. If you nurture this soil with faith, expectation, and the feeling of fulfillment, the future grows from it naturally and inevitably. This means that the future is not a distant, separate reality, but a direct extension of the inner world you cultivate today. Your thoughts and emotions in the present moment create an energetic blueprint, attracting circumstances and opportunities that correspond to that pattern. The law that governs this process is precise. What you are now is what you will experience later. Change your state, and you change your destiny. Every shift in your consciousness ripples outward, shaping the course of events and the quality of your life. Living with awareness of this truth invites you to take responsibility for your inner world, knowing that it holds the power to shape your outer reality. The present moment is where creation begins, and it is also where it is sustained. By consciously choosing the feeling and assumption that align with your highest vision, you set the wheels of manifestation in motion. The future is already contained within the seed you plant in your present state, ready to blossom into the life you imagine and deserve. This process requires consistency and sincerity. The more deeply and naturally you embody the fulfilled state, the more convincing the impression you make on your subconscious, which governs your outer experience. Acting as if, until it is so, is the demonstration of faith in action, the practical application of inner knowing that your desire is not just possible, but inevitable. In this way, your life begins to mirror your internal assumption, and the as if fades away, replaced by the undeniable reality of what you have already become. Remember that the power to create your reality lies within you. Every thought, feeling, and assumption you hold shapes the world you experience. Trust the unseen. Remain faithful to your inner vision and persist with confidence. The universe is responding to your every move, arranging circumstances to match the reality you live from. Walk boldly through the door of the present moment, knowing that the bridge of incidents is forming to carry you to your desire. Act as if it is already done, and watch as the confirmation unfolds naturally before you. Thank you for opening yourself to this message, and may you continue to manifest with unwavering faith and joy.